All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. and a message out of Terence Crawford's camp about the fight, which basically is just shut up and wait. It's going to happen. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we are pretty much in the only real hot topic going on in boxing right now, which is the Terence Crawford Errol Spence Jr. fight. Messages come out of Terence Crawford's camp. Safe to say that this is Terence Crawford's camp. About as surefire as a message coming directly out of Terence Crawford's camp as possible. Now, before I get go through that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, thank you so much for chopping it up with me about boxing. We talk about boxing here every day. We talk about news that are coming out of mainstream media, news that's coming from sources other than mainstream media. We just chop it up about boxing on a daily basis, and I really appreciate you guys being here for the ride for the last several years. If you are new to the channel, let me extend an invitation, and please accept my invitation to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Always have really good boxing conversations going on. Whether you agree with me, you don't agree with me, whether you believe what I have to say, or for some reason, everything I say is just garbage. Doesn't matter. We always talk boxing and it's fun. So that's what boxing's about, or at least the boxing talk is about. So I really appreciate you guys coming around. Let's continue to do so. In this video, let's talk about something though, in a very, very pro Terence Crawford way. Now, the reason why I want to be very, very pro, just overtly pro Terence Crawford in this video is because the camp member that I'm going to talk about that said that is talking about the fight with Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford is his sister, Letitia Crawford, who's on Twitter, very, very well known to be a strong proponent of her brother. She is saying, relax, the fight is going to be made. Patience, patience, patience. Terence Crawford is going to fight that, is going to take that fight. And also in a separate message said, look, Terence said that he wants to fight Jermell Charlo after he fights Errol Spence Jr. He's not trying to skip out of the Errol Spence Jr. fight to get the Terence Crawford fight. And as far as what the tone of her message, and I do believe that she is very, very close to the business side of it. And I'll explain to you why. If you recall a couple years ago, she was the first person to talk about Bob Arum and Terence Crawford's falling out, and how Terence Crawford, Bob Arum was not getting Terence Crawford the fights that he needed, right? Previous to her saying something about it, nobody in their camp had said anything about it at all. There's a lot of speculation about why Bud was still with, or Terence Crawford was still with, Top Rank, despite the fact that he didn't get the Manny Pacquiao fight, despite the fact that he didn't get the accolades, or at least the respect of the Boxing Writers Association of America when he became undisputed, when he became the 140-pound undisputed champion of the world, right? People were speculating like, man, or saying, why are you continuing to sign with him? Why are you still there? And now he is no longer with him. Well, that was foreshadowed by his sister. And what his sister said, I have to suspect it was a year before that, somewhere around a year before that break actually took place. So, there's a couple of people that talk outside of, obviously, Brian McIntyre, who's been very, very quiet on this subject. Bernie the Boxer, Letitia Crawford is probably the most reliable. Now, she is not very happy with me. I don't mind it at all because, hey, it is what it is. Like I said, this is Boxing Talk, and I am not a media member. I am somebody that is a boxing fan. I have said that I believe Errol Spence Jr. will win the fight against Terence Crawford. I do think, however, again, that that fight can go either way. Both of these guys are absolutely tremendous fighters, without a doubt. Also, I've talked about what, has been going around about the fight and the negotiations of the fight, right? Some of the stuff, like what Mike Coppinger said about the fight being imminent, they are just about to sign it. It's going to be October 29th. According to Floyd Mayweather Jr., that stuff wound up not being the case. Other things that people are saying very well may not be the case. We will only know for sure when the fight is either signed or the fight is not signed. But whatever the case is, I don't believe that if the fight doesn't take place, that it will be because Terence Crawford does not want that fight. My stance on it has always been that the biggest hurdle to that fight is going to be whether or not Showtime really wants that fight, whether or not the PBC really wants that fight, because of the numbers associated with Terence Crawford's previous pay-per-views, right? And whether or not Terence Crawford is going to want to accept the type of money that the PBC may be offering. And that is out of the mouth of Tim Smith, who is a spokesman for the PBC and in charge of their media relations, right? So it's nothing personal against Terence Crawford. In fact, Terence Crawford is an exceptional fighter, and I don't think anybody, if they look at it in their heart of hearts, would be completely shocked if either one of these guys win that fight. But like I said, Letitia and people in his camp, Bernie the Boxer, guys like that are actually in Terence Crawford's camp, and they're doing what they're supposed to do, which is rep Terence Crawford and stand up for him out in public in whatever kind of conversations they have. So, but it is very, very refreshing to hear her say on her Twitter that, look, patience, it's coming, just be patient. That means, all right, cool. Well, it looks like, at least on Terence Crawford's side, that Terence Crawford may be willing to bend on some of the demands that are rumored to be out there, right? And that eventually he's going to make that fight, right? It's just that they may be working out certain details. For example, there was a conversation. I did a video yesterday about a rematch clause. The reason that I thought that any type of conversation about a rematch clause was positive is because that if you're talking about a rematch clause, more than likely you're getting past the big issues, which are the money, the location, the guaranteed money, the location for the fight, the pay-per-view split, all of that type of stuff. I would suspect in the order of negotiation would come before whether or not you have a discussion about a rematch clause. And also, rematch clauses are very, very standard things. It's not, and I want to be very clear, I don't believe that it is a case of if Errol's, first of all, I wasn't told what the rematch clause was. I was just told that there was an issue about the rematch clause. Whether or not Errol Spence Jr. had a rematch clause and it was unilateral, or whether there was no rematch clause at all, that's not known. Or whether Terence was asking for a unilateral rematch clause, I was not told that at all. All I was told was that is an issue, that the rematch clause is an issue with Terence Crawford. Now, if you're at that stage where you're talking about rematch clauses, then dude, you're really talking about the fight is almost made, right? That's kind of like talking about rehydration clauses and whether or not somebody's going to be able to gain extra pounds. Now, at least we're not talking about rehydration clauses, things like that, right? Which would be absolutely bananas. Right. So all in all, it seems like it's a good situation, and it looks like they're heading to the fight if those things are true. And it's good to hear somebody close to their team, just say, hey, patience, and also deny that Terence Crawford is really out there trying to fight Jermell Charlo and not fight Errol Spence Jr. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. And we just chopping it up about boxing because, hey, man, this is the stuff that is out there to talk about. And it is what it is. We're not in a real, don't have a bunch of big fights coming up over the next month. So hope people don't take it too personal that we chop it up about it. But anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.